Happy spring! Guess what that means? Park predators. All right, everybody. I just wanted to jump on here. Don't judge these lashes right now because they were exponentially gorgeous before I had food poisoning and spent the week barfing my brains out. So I wanted to jump on here today to give you a real good story about a story that happened several years ago, but we were just reminded recently of the easy access it is when people claim public places such as parks are appropriate places to photograph your children. So obviously these aren't like stay-at-home moms with like an extra sideshow going on like, hey, I just want to photograph your children. No, these are weirdos that are sitting at the park photographing and videoing your children. So I do have a great story about it, and it's honestly one for the books and one my kids will never forget for sure. So I want to share that. Several years back, I had a friend who lived up against Hanson Park. Those of you who know where we are at, you know where we are at. We are playing out her backyard into the park area, and some of my kids come running up saying, there's a man over there. He is videotaping us. Like, he's videotaping us. What the heck is this? And I'm like, where is he? Where's this guy? And they are looking around and they're like, we don't see him anymore. Well, what's he look like? Well, he's an older guy. He's got really short hair. He's wearing a white shirt. He's got a tattoo right here. He's got a small dog. They literally had all the information on what this guy looked like. And I take like a lot of pride in that because I'm like, yeah, take all the notes. If something weird's going on, take all the notes. So that's something that you always want to like teach your kids for sure. It gets better on that front because like some of these kids like start drawing pictures. This is one of like 5 of them that exist, and the kids drew them separately and they all kind of look the same. So I was like, oh, that's so weird. So right, that's afterwards. I'm running around the park like a psychopath pretty much, walking up to people that have small dogs, and I'm like, hey, how's it going? Do you have a tattoo of a motorcycle situation on your shoulder? And people are like, what are you talking about? Go away from me. And so at a certain point, made the loop, whatever, wasn't anything there. I end up calling the police and I'm like, hey, this is the description of what we've got here. This is what he was doing. And lo and behold, they're like, we've got 6 different calls similar to that one today. So I'm like, so what are we doing about it? So we've sent people out there to check it out, but to no avail. Okay, leave it alone. I'm bothered by it, obviously. We end up going back over a week later, almost exactly, because we had this play date thing going on. So a week later, the kids are playing again, when one of the kids runs up and says, Mom, that's him over there on the bench. He's sitting there. Look at him with his phone. He's waiting. And I'm like, what an opportunity. What a great opportunity. So I'm like, I'm just going to make sure, before, I don't know why I thought like, I'm going to make sure. Maybe it's because we've lived internationally and I've dealt with people of all sorts of statures and rapists and traffickers and just like nasty people through international adoption, through foster care, through all the things, right? So to me, I'm just going to go over there and be like, what are you doing? Why are you recording? I was getting all sorts of hyped up. So then let me get this in your head. I'm wearing pigtails that day. I'm also wearing a dress with leggings underneath it. I look like a child. I mean, right now, I kind of look like a child. So I take off on a scooter. And I'm trying to get my phone like recording. But it says like, there's too much crap on your phone. It cannot record. And I'm like, of course, at a time like this. This man has his phone ready to, he's like waiting for me to round this corner, right? And I don't know if he sees that I'm trying to mess around with my phone or what happens exactly when he starts like, takes off running across the field, not on the path, through the grass. His little poor dog's legs never touch the ground as far as I'm concerned. He takes off through the field. I take off on the path, and we literally collide almost when it gets to the end, the very egg top shape of this path. So I'm like, hey, I drop the scooter and I'm like, hey, have a tattoo. It's like a motorcycle on your arm. And he's like, yeah, and what's it to you? And I'm like, whoa, what's it to me? Okay, so, cute dog, number one. It looks like it's tired. Number two, there are reports of a man with a tattoo on his arm and a small dog taking videos of children in the park. You clearly don't have a child of interest here at the park as you're running away with your dog. What is it to you? And I'm like, oh, I'm a parent of children at the park, which makes it my problem also. And he goes, well, beep, you're the problem. You're the person who is basically taking away his public right to videotape children at the park. He says it is his American right as a man to go to a public location and videotape children as much as he would please, to send them to anybody that he would like to, that it is his right. I was literally shocked. So I said, here's the deal. I don't agree with that. That is something I don't agree with. I don't understand how it went this direction so quickly. But you may not videotape my children. I am not okay with that. The police are not okay with that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, who can I pull? Like, what kind of cords can I pull here? When he says that I am a beep again, and that I do not allow my children to have the sexual experiences that they are supposed to be having. Believe me, after this conversation, I literally had an anxiety attack, full on breathing issues on the ground. This was what he thought. And even that much, not even just what he thought, but what he immediately thought to say as he's pulling up his sleeve, pushing himself in front of my face, saying that yes, he is this person. And I'm like, wow, that is bold. That is arrogant. That is terrifying. Okay? So in the distance, my kids, my friend, her kids, they're watching this exchange happen. And for me, it doesn't feel like it's going anywhere because this man has it figured out. You guys, in this moment, it's not like it was the first moment either that somebody disgusting had told me that this is the way they thought things should be. Okay? But this is truly the way that people who prey on children think things should be, because they are trying to fulfill their own desires. So someone who is preying on children, you are the thing standing in the way. You are truly the person that has to be fooled in this situation. You are the one who's got it wrong. You're not allowing your children to have this experience that they think is essential to their existence in this world. Does that make sense? To me, that's terrifying, because guess what that means? That means that your child is automatically a commodity, automatically objectified. Look up your sex registration. In any state, I've got them printed out to the... And guess what? All of these people aren't even all of these people. Only a certain percentage even get caught because they get so good at it. So to me, it's just like... So at a certain point, you gotta say, what in the free world do we do about it? Because there's always like, oh, we gotta put all these people away, we gotta do this and do that, we gotta, castrate pedophiles. That is all said and well and good, and I'm totally on board for voting yes for that, absolutely. But we need to arm our kids with information that says, like, this is what he was doing, this is what he looks like, let's get him. Because honestly, as long as we are being quiet and not teaching our kids, for saying like, hey, this is kind of an awkward subject. We don't talk about bodies with our kids, like, and that's a big thing. I get a lot of messages about that. But it shouldn't be. Because as long as you are avoiding the topic to touch on this area of life, somebody else might be touching on this area of your child. Ugh. And I honestly don't even like how that just came out my mouth, because it was kind of creepy and terrifying. But it's true. That's the terrifying part of it, is that as long as we are not opening the dialogue with our kids and saying, you have a bubble. You have a boundary. And this is why. Because you don't want to deal with the trauma. We know what everything that comes with trauma. We can't make good decisions at a certain point. We don't trust people. Our ability to take care or manage our attitudes and our mental health and the things that we do for others, or the way that we operate in general. Trauma causes so much harm to our system. And we want to be the first in line for our kids to say, like, hell no. That is not the way we are building you up. We have to take very seriously the responsibility that we have for these children. They're children for a time, and then they're grown-ups, and then they're functioning as adults in society, in this real world that we live in. And that's really it's a great thought. It's kind of daunting, but if we do not teach them the ability to say no, and to know where the red flags are, and to know that, hey, this doesn't like feel right and I need to tell somebody, instead of being like, well, I'm going to internalize this and overthink this for 16 years. You know what I mean? Like, that's not okay. We do not need to impart that gift of fear to open dialogue on our kids. We need to be able to talk to them, and they need to be able to talk and trust us, especially when the numbers of weirdos outweigh us. So if you need any guidance on books to use to open this dialogue, because I know just walking up to your kid and being like, hey, you want to talk about bodies? It might not work. It might just like be weird. It could go all sorts of different ways. I don't even know. Farting is the only thing that comes to mind if I were to do that to my kids. What's worked with my kids is all the books that I have on my YouTube. Go ahead and check those out. Totally funny to have these conversations. Make it a little bit funny, you know? It's people tell jokes sometimes, like when it's uncomfortable and stuff, and that seems to work for a lot of people. That's probably the way that I connect with most people when we talk about these kinds of situations, is they'll be like, oh yeah, and then this guy was like, and you're kind of like, but your face is like, and then they're like, because I wasn't comfortable. That's pretty much all I got for you today. I have a lot of other things I need to be doing. No, but seriously, I've got to catch up on books because, like I said, I was puking all of the week before. So, everybody have a sweet week, and reach out to me if you need any sort of advice on resources. I love finding them. I'm loving the messages I'm getting. They're making me think hard, a lot of these. They're making me dig deep, and that's a great thing. That's a great place to be. So have a fantastic week.